Sup, nerds?
We're back.
Nerds, herds, birds. I'm out of words.
You had another.
30 minutes had already passed since Rudolph's group had left the guest house. By any measure, their return was too late. Kraus and Natsuhi, who waited by the entrance, were reaching the limits of their patience. The chain was set on the door. That was a precaution in the event that Rudolph's group was attacked and the master key stolen from them. For that reason, they needed to wait by the entrance like this for the others to return.
They really are too late. Don't you think something might have happened to them?
Indeed. Kraus glanced between his watch and the door, struggling to keep his composure.
If something happened to prevent them from returning...
Terrible thought, but it seems we should be ready ourselves for that possibility. One really was too reckless after all.
That is what I said. Why did they go outside when they knew it was this dangerous? How foolish. Why go outside even though Rosa-san had just been attacked?
Nothing will come of saying that now. At any rate, there are now 3 adults in the guest house. We don't call out and count Dr. Nanjo. Apparently he's not an adult.
Yeah, huh? That's interesting.
Me, you, and Ava, who's asleep with a high fever.
Wait. Unless that's a clue. They can't see Nanjo.
Oh my fuck, don't you start with me. It's sick. The entire thing is Sixth Sense, but Nanjo's the one who... How come no one addresses me by name anymore? It's like I'm not even in the room.
That or he's really not there. And we'll need to know that later.
Oh god, okay.
And he had it out for some other reason.
No, it's alright. I've been often told by my friends that I exhibit infantile tendencies. At that time, the forceful sound of a door being opened came from the hallway, and they heard Ava's panicked voice. That voice kept calling out for Hideyoshi's name. It seemed as though she'd had a bad dream or something due to her fever, and was calling for her husband.
Ava-san, what is it? Are you okay?
Where's my husband? My husband isn't here. Even though he promised that he'd stay with me the whole time. Even though he promised that he'd grasp my hand the whole time.
Kraus was struck dumb by this attitude of hers, which she had never shown in front of him before, but Natsuhi understood her feelings.
Calm down. Hideyoshi-san is with Rudolph-san and Kirie-san, and they're outside right now.
Outside? Why did he go outside after he promised that he'd stay with me the whole time? You mustn't go outside. The witch is outside. You mustn't go. You'll be killed. Ah!
Ava, calm yourself. Hideyoshi-san returned to the mansion with Rudolph and Kirie-san.
Why did he have to go to the mansion? Why did he go outside, even though it's safe here? Why did he go back to the mansion?
They went to get enough food to last until tomorrow. Hideyoshi-san was worried about your health, and said that was partly why he wanted to go.
When will they come back? When will they come back? Don't go outside. Don't go out to Rose Garden. Don't go to the mansion.
The Rose Garden again. I think we're onto something with that.
Maybe.
I do think we're onto something.
The witch is there. The witch is there. The golden witch is walking about. If she finds you, you'll be killed. You'll definitely be killed. When will my husband come back?
They left here 30 minutes ago. We are waiting for their return.
30 minutes ago? Isn't that strange? Why would it take so much time for them to go to the mansion to get food and come back? And why are you two just standing around here? We have to go get them. We have to hurry to where they are.
Ava probably had quite a nightmare, and because it had continued even after she woke up, she could no longer hide her panic. Natsuhi tried calming her down, but all it did was make Ava's emotions explode even more. Maybe they heard that disturbance. Battler and the kids, who had supposedly been on the second floor, were peeking their faces through the creak of the lobby door. It's funny, because I'm in my 20s. Kraus, Natsuhi, and Ava, and Battler, George, Jessica, Nanjo. Nanjo's one of the kids.
Wait. Wait.
I know I don't look it, but I'm only about 24. I'm rather cumbersome. My friendship with Kenzo started young. Everyone in the guest house had gathered by the entrance and understood the current situation. This is George.
I agree with Mother. We should go check on Father and the rest.
Yeah, that's right. It's even possible that their load's too heavy and they're having trouble carrying it. They should welcome some extra hands. No, don't do it! What kind of a fool are you?
This happened right after Riverside was attacked. This may have been a secondary disaster connected to that. We should act with caution here around.
Don't be a fool. What do you mean, caution? Are you saying we should let my husband die, even though he might be out begging for help? I'm going to look, and the cowards can stay here.
Looking agitated, Ava raised her gun. Oh, right, new Ava looks kind of...
Angry Ava with a gun.
Angry Ava with a gun!
Too bad Happy Hideyoshi with a gun is gone.
Who knows?
Rip.
There's still 5 more chapters. We could see the return of Happy Hideyoshi with a gun. Put it down in the comments if you're a big fan of Happy Hideyoshi with a gun.jpg. Judging by her face, it would be useless for anyone to try and stop her. George, who realized that first, raised his head.
All go as well.
Is it possible for Tiny Ava to kill regular Ava?
That's a good question.
What would happen if that happened?
Yeah, given that she said she is using her life force as an energy source,
Right.
maybe that would kill. Maybe that would
seems
kill a
like
witch.
yeah.
You will too, right, Battler-kun?
Don't do it! You're acting like a moron, Battler! Don't listen to him!
The more people, the better. But they're being smart, because the more of them that go,
Right.
the more witch disbelieving juice there will be.
But they don't know that. But yeah, you're right. Sure. Aunt Ava, we're coming even if you tell us not to.
I'm coming too. I can't be the only one to hide in a safe place. Jessica, you must not go outside. Stay here with me.
No, it's alright. Jessica was talking earlier about how she hates safe spaces now.
Got it?
It was like they were implying that those 3 had already been killed anyway, so going outside would be pointless. Natsuki realized that Ava felt like her heart had been gouged out, but she spoke strongly as Jessica's mother.
You're right. That should be fine. Let's have Nissan's family keep an eye on the guest house. This is a problem for my family and Battler-kun's.
No, don't let her drag you into it. God, how come he's such an idiot?
And I wonder if Dr. Nanjo would mind coming too. Just in case.
So what do you think will happen now? Can regular Battler use that magic disbelieving juice?
Maybe. We've seen that he appears to be peculiarly good at resisting Beatrice,
That's true.
and to exhibit, at least in this run, what appeared to be a quasi-magical level of fuck you Beato power.
That's true. Also, didn't I hand Virgilia over to you since Beato fucked off for this?
You did, but then immediately the next episode, you took her back.
Oh, okay.
But then I'll take her back again if
Yeah,
you
that's
want.
fine. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
In the hall of the mansion, Battler, Ava, George, and Nanjo found the corpses of Rudolph, Kyrie, and Hideyoshi.
The 4th through 6th twilights. Then the corpses were pierced through the forehead, chest, and stomach with these demon stakes.
Yes, they were pierced through the forehead, chest, and stomach.
No, you misunderstand. I was thinking that they get stabbed in the stomata. Humans have those, right?
Yeah. The demon stakes were buried into them, one in Rudolph's forehead, one in Hideyoshi's chest, and one in Kyrie's stomach. The disorder of the clothing on all 3 suggests that they were fighting or running away, since the 3 corpses were not found right next to each other. It is hypothesized that after coming into contact with the culprit, they attempted some form of resistance.
And they had sticks in the forehead, chest, and stomach. Horrible. Just like usual. Is it weird that I'm becoming desensitized to this? I can refer to it simply as the huge.
Yeah, it's a little fucked up, huh?
Even though Ronove knew it would be superfluous, he contemplated telling Battler the truth. Normally, the witch would have killed them in a much, much more horrible way. Corpses had been left in this manner only because Beato had suggested to the witch that she show restraint. The new witch, thinking it would fit well enough as long as she gouged them with stakes, would probably have just stuck a stake into a lump of meat that wasn't even shaped like a human. Rose and Maria's corpses were a particularly striking example. They had been killed as the Golden Witch had wished. Just how gruesome would the corpses have been. Beato had changed that into the still better kind of killing Battler that I had mentioned earlier. What is it? The Casey Green image of throws arms up? I guess very angrily.
I don't remember who did that one. I didn't think it was a Casey Green, but maybe it is.
We'll have to look it up. Wanting to have Beato a small bit of thoughtfulness appreciated, he thought of telling Battler about this. But judging by Battler's eyes, that might do more harm than good. Yeah, good call, Ronove.
There's been excellent reforms in Witchville. We now kill our victims slightly less gruesomely, but we still kill them all.
Oh my god, Ronove! Read the fucking room! To humans, the gap between being alive and being dead is very large. Saying that she'd given them better deaths might have made it possible for a demon to understand her feelings and pardon her, but there's no way a human would be so accepting. Understanding this, Ronove remained silent despite knowing of Beato's modest efforts. Just like usual, let's start by checking whether the corpses are dead. Ronove, please declare it in red. Do it, motherfucker! Can't you hear me? Please declare it in red. Repeat it. Rudolph, Kyrie, and Hideyoshi are dead. My apologies. Allow me to decline from repeating that. The hell? What are you planning all of a sudden? By now, proclaiming that the victims were dead in red was almost given in this battle. Refusing to do that was almost like losing by default. So when Ronove refused as part of his first move, Battler was dumbfounded. My apologies. As of this moment, I relinquish my position as Milady's representative. Accordingly, I cannot repeat that in red. The only one qualified to repeat that is Milady. You sly motherfucker.
His point is a valid one. Ronove is only a representative for Beato's side. If he steps down from that position, and if you will not accept Beato as an opponent, a new representative must be named.
No new representative exists. Please, Battler-sama, please accept Milady as your game partner once more. I'm sorry, but that's advice I cannot listen to. I definitely won't accept that unpleasant, cruel bastard as my opponent. My refusal to accept her is why I cannot step down from fighting this game. As to her being unpleasant, I apologize in my lady's stead. Allow me to pledge that Milady will not undertake such unpleasant actions again. Bitch, you think that'll work? I do wonder about that.
Battler-kun.
Yeah, that's me.
I also want to apologize as that child's teacher. I'll give that child a good talking to, so please offer your forgiveness just this once.
You ever think about how fucked up it is that you're just trying to get me to accept a less gruesome form of death? Like, you're coming over to me like, offering like, yeah, we're still gonna kill them, Battler, but at least you'll have nice shiny corpses that you could put in a coffin.
Gee, what's your problem with reforms, Battler?
You're right. And the only way anything will get done is by incremental progress. Just remember, you can always push them left. But don't stir anything during an election year, because if you do, that's just asking for the opponent to win. Did I get it right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Glad I understand now. Hey, enough of that. You're making it sound like I'm the bad guy. I'm literally not. I am not the one that is actively murdering people. That is, and no matter how much you guys apologize, it will not reach my ears. Beato can say that from her own lips. Well, I might listen to her. But also, I won't allow her into the room, so, paradox.
Understood. If that is your only condition for acknowledging your opponent again, let us have that child apologize. Ronove, call for that child. Will that be all right, Battler-kun?
Yeeh. Do whatever you want. Still, don't expect me to forgive her. Go get that irritating witch. I almost used a different word that rhymed with it. But I showed restraint, unlike my opponent! You have my thanks, Battler-sama. I shall summon her here. Milady, Battler-sama is calling for you. I am not.
He is?
I am. Do not phrase it in that way. After a few heartbeats, gold butterflies gathered together in midair and created Beato's form. It was a much more docile appearance than the ones she'd made before.
Did you call, Ronave? I believe you heard. Is there something you have to say from your own lips?
Angry stare. It looked as though Beato shrunk slightly under Battler's cold gaze. Several times Beato made an effort to get the words out of her mouth, but that didn't work so well, and she was just as awkward as someone trying to light a match during a freezing winter with icy hands. Even as she did that, the game board was advancing. In the hall, they had just found the corpses of the new victims and had broken down crying. Bitch, it's this hard for you to fake it? You telling me you can't even lie about that to my face?
No one's ever made me apologize before.
Oh my fucking god!
I usually just kill them. You have to cut me some slack here.
I'm pretty sure I don't.
I think you do.
Wow. It amazes me that Beato can't even muster like the ability to lie about it. Like,
but I don't think she is. I think she is trying to be actually sorry and having a lot of trouble.
oh yeah, she's definitely trying.
For the first time being actually sorry for this shit. Like, how do I do it? I fucked up. How do I rationalize and understand that?
Dad, Kiryu-san. Oh, God. I picked it up from my grandfather.
Dear.
This is George.
Mother, hang in there. Even for me, it's so crushing, so sad.
I'm sure that even if we had arrived immediately after they fell, it would have been too late.
No, that's wrong. They were definitely alive. His chest was stabbed with something like this. My husband must have died in extreme pain. If we'd come faster, surely they would have been saved. They would have definitely been saved. Ah!
It must be tough for you too, Battler-kun, but stay strong.
I'm okay. It's okay, Aniki. Let me cry just a little bit longer. I've got it the best. I should be the least sad. So if you let me cry just a little longer, I'll be fine.
That isn't true. I can understand how much it must hurt your heart to have lost both parents.
Wait, how can you understand?
I still have Mother. That's much better than what you're going through, Battler-kun.
Got it. Oh, that's wrong. It's gotta be toughest for you, George Aniki. Understand, Aniki. In this group, you're the saddest, and the one who has it the toughest. Understand that, so I can't keep on sobbing like this. Ah!
Why do you say it's toughest for me?
To me, Dad and Kiryu-san were people I'd eventually split up with when I grew up and became independent. Since their parents, it was fated they'd die before their kids. Just happened a little early, that's all. But it's different for you, Aniki. You didn't just lose your parents, who would have parted ways with you eventually. You also lost Shannon-chan, someone you should have spent the rest of your life with.
Don't fucking remind me.
Did Violet just say you lost both your parents?
Yeah. Huh. You... Wait. Is this George?
I think it's probably George.
You can't value human lives differently. Whether it's a baby or an old person, they should all be respected the same. But still, the more life that person has ahead of them, the longer the future you're building together is, the sadder the fact of their death is. Oh,
Yeah, we were right. Aniki, you were engaged to Shannon-chan, right? You promised that you'd build a life and a home together in the future, right? Compared to how huge that future was. Compared to how huge that happiness was. Stuff like my pain doesn't even come close. Or was it Battler for both? Might have been Battler for both. So you should be allowed to cry much, much more, Aniki. Yet just because you act like a big brother to us cousins, you force yourself to act like you're so calm.
Stop it, Battler-kun.
George was trying to make a calm smile. But already he couldn't stop a single hot tear from leaving a streak down his face.
There's no way I wouldn't be sad, right? Together with Shannon, I painted a picture of many futures in my mind. We talked of dreams that couldn't all come true, even if we lived 100 years. Of those dreams, even the very first one, having her move into my family register, could not be granted. So there's no way I wouldn't be sad, right?
Compared to that, like I said, I have no right to cry anymore. When even you're struggling to hold it in, I have no right to shed any more tears.
I don't have the right to cry. No,
no, you.
No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. We're the same. We both feel the same sadness from losing those close to us. So there's no rule that says you can't shed any more tears than me, Battler-kun.
Actually, yeah, we actually just updated the rule. Who wants to tell him? Virgilia, can you, pop on down there and... No? Maybe, plug one of them in the... cork or something? And for me, too. There's no rule that says I have to hold back my tears any longer, is there? Aniki!
Shannon, the one who shared my dreams for the future, is dead. Father's dead, too. It's so sad. So sad. As
Battler and George hugged each other tightly, they cried a waterfall of tears over each other's shoulders for the people who had been so precious to them. Me. Still think my dad was kind of a tool. Do you understand why I said that George Aniki has it the toughest?
I was listening, so I understand. Your sadness is proportional to the length of time you would have been able to spend with that person afterwards.
Oh my god, you would make it a fucking math equation, wouldn't you? Of course you can't calculate it just like that, though. We humans aren't like you witches. From the time we receive life to the moment we die, we live within that limited period as strongly as we can manage. I can't forgive anyone who makes light of that. And I definitely cannot forgive anyone who sneers at people and toys with them. A person like you, whose very concept of death is all screwed up, probably can't understand that. I'm not just mad because of the length of time they would have lived afterwards. It's sneering at the lives of people living with all they've got. That's what I cannot forgive the most. George Aniki lived his life by recklessly doing his best. He must have approached this day with a grim resolve to marry Shannon-chan, no matter the challenges. That's completely different from me, since I was happy just to be able to meet my cousins after a long while.
But still... Beato.
Oh my god, she is so bad at this. She'd release a 2-hour video called My Apology and then not apologize the entire thing.
For now, stay silent and listen. Indeed.
In a way, I understand your point. You say you need to continue murdering according to the epitaph for your own resurrection. So considering your circumstances, I can just barely bring myself to understand your murders. Because to you it's a necessary course of action. That means all unnecessary actions you take beyond that are due to your meaningless and brutal tastes. In other words, if killing the 6 people for the first Twilight was a necessary action for you, then all that show of crushing their faces, splitting their stomachs, and stuffing them full of sweets was completely unnecessary, and caused by nothing more than your brutal hobby. That's an aspect of you I can definitely not forgive.
Indeed.
Beato's on her phone right now, scrolling how do I apologize? What are the steps to forming an apology? Or how do I make this go away? When you saw Rosa getting repeatedly killed in that horrible way, you apparently said something like, They're going to be brought back to life in the end anyway. It doesn't matter how they're killed. Which I heard from Virgilia. You know, Battler, there is no moral value in it.
Well, as
Rotove,
to that,
you shut the fuck up.
as to that, well,
That idea that you can kill them as many times as you want, as long as you bring them back to life in the end, then just completely unnecessary action with no purpose other than to toy around with someone's life. If you're going to kill, do it instantly. Don't toy with them. If you won't kill them, then don't bully them. You're taking advantage of the fact that you can do as you will with people's lives. You forgot the sanctity of that life. So I can't accept or acknowledge you. I definitely cannot accept as my opponent a person that doesn't know the value of a life, with the sadness felt when lives are lost.
that is why the Endless magic is known as a black art. The Endless Witch has no concept of limitations. She has no concept of the limitations and losses caused by breaking and killing. For that reason, Endless Witches sometimes start playing by jumping over the gap between life and death like it's a game. That is a very, very frightening thing. So as an Endless Witch, and by my own choosing, I never reached your level.
It was something that Virgilia had been trying to tell Beato for a long time, but Beato had been too young to obediently listen to those words. She had been too wild. She had been possessed by that detestable pleasure.
I have been told not to break vases, but that's why I wanted to break them. Then I gained the Endless magic, when I knew that I could fix them back to normal no matter how badly I broke them. I was surprised at how fun it could be to break a vase.
Oh my god, you're a fucking child! Are you kidding me? You're a literal fucking child! She is, though! That's the logic of a fucking child.
Yeah?
Oh my god. Sorry. Just watching what little respect I had for Beato just kind of like piss away in the wind.
That is what's known as the forbidden honey. People are not captivated by what's inside. They are captivated by the sealed lock. It is truly regrettable.
I want to ask you, Virgilia, why does this thing called the Endless Magic exist? For what purpose does it exist in this world?
It is not limited to the Endless magic. All magic exists to bring happiness to the human world. After everything that has happened, it may be difficult for you to believe, Battler-kun, but in order to bring blessings to the human world, we witches are supposed to become bridges between humans and non-humans, and that's why we train so hard.
How does reviving the dead and torturing them to death over and over again help the human world?
When a vase that was an important memento is broken, if by fixing it everyone will regain their smiles, I would repair it with magic as many times as necessary. However, I would not be fixing it in order to break it again. I would be reviving it to give humans happiness.
In that case, Beato, you fail as an Endless Witch.
Indeed.
Say it again.
Indeed.
Louder this time, motherfucker.
Indeed.
There's this thing I've been vaguely thinking about. Why do I keep playing this strange game against you? I could be playing like solitaire. Or maybe a Sudoku.
We have risk.
I said I wanted to have a fun time. Do you want us to become greater enemies?
Wait, you're having fun?
I said I wanted to have a fun time.
So you're not having fun?
Oh my god. Maybe this game isn't about making me surrender. Maybe it's a test for you to be accepted as an Endless Witch in the truest sense.
I don't know about that. The reason I proposed this game to you was, simply as a way to kill time.
And 12 of my relatives?
Yeah, that too. There were no ulterior motives at work. Definitely none at all.
Uh-huh.
No ulterior motives
Sure.
related to Ushiromiya Battler.
I don't know who that man is. I've never met him.
Oh, that's unfortunate. He's pretty cool.
You are towing a line. We will not banter until we resolve this.
Okay. Just now.
Oh, no, that's Battler.
Okay.
Just now, I heard the definition of a witch from Virgilia. By that definition, you, Beto, are not even a witch. You're an apprentice who's still in training, and who misunderstands her own power. There was supposed to be a fight between a witch and a human. If you aren't a witch, then you aren't qualified to be my opponent. Understand?
You say I am still only an apprentice?
Dear God, Battler, that's fucking savage.
When will I be accepted as your opponent once again? When can we resume this game?
Who knows? At the very least, it isn't now. When you fully understand what I've said and become a real witch, I'll probably accept you as my opponent in the game once more.
I can't understand if you say it so abstractly like that. Clearly tell me what I should do to earn your forgiveness.
She's one of those people. Nope, I've said enough. You think about the rest. That's all I want to say. If you can't figure it out, try talking with Virgilia and Ronove. Brat like you should start out by listening to what the adults say. Anyway, I'm gonna go play Mario Kart with Bernie. Where'd Bernie go? Bernie! Did you fix the Joy-Con drift? Virgilia, suspend the game for now. Now that Ronove has stepped down as a representative, what we can do is wait for Beato to gain the qualifications of a proper opponent.
Understood. Until Beato has been acknowledged as having earned those qualifications, the game will proceed without an opponent. Is that alright with you too, Beato? I have no objections.
Wait, isn't Battler saying that she has the qualifications the same as accepting her as a witch?
Oh.
Is that
I don't know.
Is that a thing?
I don't know.
I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe I'm overthinking that.
I want time and a place where I can think at a leisurely pace. May I leave my seat for that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Well then, see you later.
Just pick me up like a Four Loko. They don't make those in the real world anymore. And I need to get shit-faced.
That's fair.
Wait. Don't make that dejected face.
Sorry about that. Letting everything inside my heart show up on my face is part of my personality. It's my gap moe, I think it's called.
Oh my god.
I cannot deceive.
Then maybe there's still some hope for you. Let me promise you one thing. In this game with you, I might win and I might lose. If you don't come back, it might be my victory by default. At that point, Battler stopped talking for a second. Then he spoke forcefully. However, I definitely will not be the one to step down. I definitely will not give you a victory by default. I'll keep on waiting here for you to sit there again as my worthy opponent.
You wait for me?
Jesus Christ! Battler-sama.
Thank you, Battler. Winky face.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will definitely come back and be accepted by you.
After showing a hopeful smile for a very short while, Beato vanished. After seeing her expression as she left, Battler was absolutely convinced that her face would tell no lies. Alright, chapter over. See you all in like, I don't know, a couple days? No, because apparently the game proceeds without an opponent, is what Virgilia said.
Yep. So everyone still dies.
Everyone's still gonna die, it's just now there's no point to it, so, which is, great. That's just lovely. The 7 survivors returned to the guest house once again. By now it was clear that those who went outside will not return alive. Rudolph's group had gone out with 2 guns and a master key. But those had been lost. It was already clear that those had been stolen by the culprit. Because the shutters were closed on the windows, they couldn't even be opened if the culprit had a master key. The front and back doors that led to the outside were all sealed by chains, and they were further blocked with sofas and tables. Even if the culprit decided to break in through violent means, it wouldn't be easy for them. At this point, the typhoon may actually be fortunate. If it were clear outside, it might have been possible for them to set fire to the guest house.
If there wasn't a typhoon in the first place, the boat would have arrived before noon. It's not much of a silver lining.
Ava-san, how do you feel?
I'm getting a headache from all these planes that are flying overhead while we're recording. At like
Me too.
9 o'clock at night. What the fuck is this?
Yeah. Anyway, please try to take it easy.
Thank you. I still feel like I have a fever, but this is no time to complain about that. For the children's sake as well, this is no time to be bedridden.
After crying so much in front of Hideyoshi's corpse, Ava had a strong self-awareness of her position as a mother, and her expression conveyed a strong will. In actual fact, her fever still hadn't gone down, and she was aware of that. She didn't keep a strong hold on herself. She felt as though the fever would make her mind hazy again. By this point, the first floor formed a final line of defense set up by Kraus, Natsuhi, and Ava. The children and the guest, Nanjo, had been strongly warned not to go downstairs without taking great care. So he's not an adult, he's a guest. There's adults, there's children, and there's guests. The three genders. The culprit used a ladder or something. It probably wouldn't be impossible for them to attack from the second floor, but it wouldn't be easy for them to break all those sturdy shutters from such an insecure position. The second floor was relatively safe compared to the first. Battler and George had also wanted to remain on the first floor so they might fight if the worst happened, but Ava had put a stop to that. In her mind, George was now the only member of her family, seeing that she didn't even want to expose him to the danger of coming downstairs to the first floor. Kraus and Natsuhi could understand that feeling. Also, a great deal of time had passed since the siege began. In the second-story cousin room, Battler, George, and Jessica sat dazed, and didn't even listen to the TV that had been left on. For a while, Nanjo had been with them and had tried to lend them words of encouragement, but when he realized that he might actually be having the opposite effect, he hid himself in his own room on the same second floor. George kept looking dazedly at the photographs inserted in his notebook. It was from the time he had taken a vacation to Okinawa with Shannon. Shannon's happy smile was contained in those photos. Think we'll ever see Beato again.
Definitely.
I don't know. I think she's probably gone from the game now.
I think that's unlikely.
I think she's kind of a minor character. Only shows up in the first couple arcs before she gets killed off.
They can't get rid of the hero of the story.
She got put on a bus. It's all good.
No.
George could remember the temperature, the humidity, the warmth, and the strength of the wind. And even what he had been talking about with her at the time those photos had been taken, as clearly as though it had been yesterday. So to George, they weren't simply photos, but a door to bring back warm memories. In this room, even though the sound of the typhoon and the TV should have entered George's hearing, it was the scenery of Okinawa he had seen with her and her laughing voice that reached his eyes and ears. George had strived to be reborn after meeting Shannon. He had sworn to separate himself from the timid person he had once been, easily caught up in the atmosphere, unable to refuse a request, and easily used by those around him. He had resolved himself to become a strong man who could make her life more joyous. Therefore, if he hadn't met Shannon, the man called Ushiromiya George would probably have lived a very different life. And the George of that different life surely wouldn't have been as excellent a man as he is now.
Tomitake Flash!
What? Oh, yeah, you're right. This is probably George talking. Do you want to read?
The person I am now exists for Shannon's sake. Now that Shannon is gone, why do I exist? It's completely meaningless, isn't it?
He felt a deep, deep sadness, as though he himself had become empty. That feeling must have been tormenting him this whole time. However, until Battler mentioned it, he hadn't even been aware of the feeling himself. He'd finally managed to remember that it should have been all right for him to cry much, much more. So he cried. Just like Battler had, he cried himself dry. By now his eyes were bright red and swollen, and he couldn't cry anymore. So George did his best to change his way of thinking. He was not meaningless now, and he should be grateful to Shannon for giving him such a character. The dead don't come back to life. He would have to get over being separated from his most beloved person. If he were to chase after Shannon and kill himself, she would surely be deeply dejected. It worked the other way around, too. If he had died and Shannon had chased after him, throwing away her own life, he wouldn't have even been able to forgive himself. Hey, we solved Romeo and Juliet!
Got him.
Got him! Take that, Bard! So he chose to surpass his sadness and anger, and decided to thank her instead. After meeting Shannon, he she made his days rich and full, and taught him the meaning of working hard for other people's sakes. As a result, she had shaped him into the kind of person he had wanted to be. He wanted to thank her for that, and tried to quell his sadness in this way, but each time he did, he remembered Shannon's smile. He understood it, logically. He knew that grieving any more than this would only make her grieve in heaven, but that didn't bring a stop to his sadness. If only he had given her that t-shirt. We're gonna do a flashback scene? No? No? Just cutscene? Okay.
All right.
I'm not in control of this. This is all just happening on its own time here.
I can't get over the Tomitake Flash shirt.
It's a good shirt. There's one problem I think I'm having here now.
Yeah?
Is that the deaths, despite the fact that they're trying to be played up, is still emotional, are not hitting me as hard the third time around.
Yeah?
Like, it's hard to find fresh feelings of emotional, like fresh emotional angles when we've had the same people die 3 times over at this point. You know? I'm not saying it's not effective at all. It's just like I almost feel a little jaded.
That makes sense though, and it seems to be like that makes sense from, say, meta battlers' perspective as well. Well, if you just kill him normally,
yeah, like
I'll accept it.
He's certainly coming around to accepting the fact that, oh yeah, you're just going to kill my family a bunch of times, aren't you?
Why is it that
why is it that when people die, it's so sad like this? Battler muttered. It was though as he was speaking on behalf of all humans. His question probably hadn't been directed at anyone, but Jessica answered.
It's always sad when you have to say goodbye. But when the person's old or there's some time, when you know beforehand that it's coming, sooner or later, that sadness gets spread out over a long period of time. When misfortune comes suddenly, it's sad because you don't even get that time.
I see. So if they get sick or something and end up bedridden in a hospital, you might be able to ready yourself for it bit by bit. But when it happens suddenly someday, you don't get that luxury. This is Jessica.
The sadness that's usually spread out over several years closes in on you all at once. That's pretty tough. Sometimes it makes you feel a sadness so deep it can leave scars for life.
Scars for life, huh?
Like grandfather's occult hobby. People say that's what caused it. That Beatrice, his mistress, died a long time ago, and he was so sad that he couldn't pull himself together. Some people whisper that this is why he started sacrificing the rest of his life to occult research, in order to revive the dead.
If that's true, Grandfather succeeded in that miracle in his last moments. The culprit is the revived Beatrice, and Grandfather was reunited with her at the moment he was killed. Pretty ironic that he revived her and got killed by her.
Even so, Grandfather probably managed to meet her. He gambled half of his life, and even though it was only for a short time, he was reunited with the woman he wished to see once again.
Then he got totally roasted, though. Feels like that result doesn't quite add up to the cost of researching for half his life.
That's not true. Even if it was only for an instant. Grandfather must have been happy to be reunited with the woman he loved. And that would be true even if his crime of going against divine providence was punished by God, and his body was burnt and sent down to hell. Even if that reunion only lasted a very short time, right?
George, are you getting ideas?
Don't worry about it, bro.
Okay. Isn't it weird that Kinzo purported to have loved Beato, and Beato also supposedly loved Kinzo, and a lot of this game seems to be playing up the relationship between Battler and Beato?
Yeah? Did Beato love Kinzo, or was it just one-sided the whole time? I don't see. We've established anything to the contrary.
She was certainly pleased to see him.
Okay.
Like, she didn't act At a minimum, she seemed like a very deep friend. I don't know if you'd call it love, but like the way that she talked with Kinzo and the way that she approached him, it definitely seemed like someone who at least had a deep respect for him.
Okay. Because to me, it came off as one-sided.
Yeah, maybe the love part was one-sided. Maybe that love was one-sided, but I don't know. When she was talking with him at the beginning of this chapter, it certainly seemed like that's not how she would treat someone she had even a little bit of disdain for.
Okay.
Maybe that's just me, though.
George Nissan.
I would absolutely buy that Kinzo's love for her was one-sided, though.
I wouldn't care that I met with the wrath of God and had my body burned, even if it was just for a short amount of time. If I could revive Shannon again, I would sacrifice the rest of my life to the same researcher's grandfather. I want to talk with Shannon again, even if it's only for 5 minutes. Even 1 minute would be fine. In exchange, I wouldn't mind sacrificing the rest of my life.
Small Ava comes in.
Oh, really? Is that how you...
Wish granted!
Aniki. When Battler and Jessica realized that their pointless discussion was causing George pain, they could do nothing more than shut their mouths. George directed his thoughts to Kinzo's life. He sacrificed his life to research that no one understood, and on the last day of his life he revived the person he loved most, and probably succeeded in his reunion in his final moments. George didn't know how much time they'd had together. He didn't even know if they'd been given an hour or just 5 minutes. However, that moment must have been enough to reward him for all those months of research. Even though he spent dozens of years to achieve it, that small amount of time was probably more than worth it to him. It's probably George, I think.
Until today, I never believed in the occult or magic or anything. Somewhere in my heart, I even made fun of Grandfather's research, thinking of it as nothing more than a pastime. However, I won't make fun of it anymore. No, to the contrary, I'll believe strongly that it's real. If the power of belief can create miracles, I'll probably throw away all of my studies up until today, spending the rest of my life from today onward studying magic. Give me the power of magic, and give me a miracle that'll let me see Shannon again. Sorry, you two. What am I talking about? If you could revive the dead with magic, people would probably be researching it everywhere around the world. But things like that don't exist in reality. No one researches it. That's because they know the dead can't be revived with magic. Sorry for saying something so weird. It's my fault that the atmosphere has gotten so strange.
Nope, that was my fault. I released some chemicals into the room.
Sorry for making you tiptoe around me, even though this is tough for us all.
Even if I did it...
Even if I did it to divert myself from my sadness, maybe I did say something strange. If I keep talking about stuff that's so weird, I'm sure it won't do anything good for their sadness. But that doesn't mean I can bear this silence. I'll go downstairs and get another cup of coffee.
Wait, they had coffee there this whole time? They were fine. Who needs food when you have coffee?
Exactly. Mom's very particular about how she likes hers. Does anyone else want a refill?
Badalakun and Jessica-chan lightly shook their heads. Without pressing them any further?
Press, 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 press.
This is George. Thank you for making the pressing. You want to press me again?
Press, 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 press.
Okay, how do you feel?
Pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty impressed.
Oh my god.
Without pressing them any further, I took my mug and left the room. The shutters were all closed in the hallway, so the corridor was very dim. I tried visiting Dr. Nanjo's room and asking if he wanted more coffee, but he said he didn't need any either.
But thank you very much for asking.
It seems my mother's orthodox method of making coffee isn't universally appreciated.
Are we gonna get coffee porn? Hell yeah! Come on, Coffee Dad, show us how to make coffee.
One time I made some for Shannon, but she told me that while it was delicious, it was a little strong.
That's the whole point.
Shannon, that's no good. Even though I left the room to change my mood, that image of Shannon's face filling my head hasn't faded in the slightest. I keep seeing those fun days with her more and more vividly, and it's saddening that I never even got a chance to see her dead face. According to our parents, she was apparently killed with something like a gun or a spear. I'm sure they were just trying to console me, but they had said her dead face had been very beautiful and peaceful. I wonder if she had the engagement ring I gave her last night on her finger. If she accepted my engagement, she should have had it on the ring finger of her left hand. Last night we were both on the edge of losing it, and not calm at all. Shannon accepted my engagement pretty courageously, but she might have regretted that as a rash action once she cooled her head. She might have taken the ring off. I wonder if she has the ring on now. I want to be sure of at least that much. I want to know how she felt at the very end. But even if I do confirm that, it doesn't mean she'll come back. I wonder what'll happen to her body. After the autopsy, it will probably be immediately cremated. Then I'll never be able to see her face, even her dead face, for all eternity. Has the shock of losing Shannon made me go a little crazy? I don't want her body to be burned. If she's burned and turned to ash, never again will it be possible for her to revive. They say cremation is frowned upon in the Western tradition, because on the day of resurrection there would be no body to revive. Because of that, it seems that great criminals in Western history were often cremated after execution as a punishment, and their ashes were sometimes scattered in rivers and such. Interesting fact about the dead returning to life and all of that.
Yep.
There are Christian physicalists
Yep.
who agree that, in fact, we are identical with our bodies and our brains, and there is no such thing as a soul or other supernatural element to humanity.
Okay.
And who nevertheless reconcile that precisely with the biblical account of the resurrection, supposing that it would be good enough if, say, an identical duplicate was made. Because it's like teleporter problem.
This is not where I expected this discussion to go, but all right.
I took a weird philosophy of religion class where this came up.
Oh my god.
And it was just like, oh, hey, well, if you're willing to believe that you're the same person when you come out of a teleporter, then you should be willing to believe that if God put back together some other atoms in the shape of you, that's still you. And that counts. And it doesn't involve anything supernatural.
And we all know that teleporters do actually work that way.
Unfortunately, they don't. They kill you and make a copy, therefore disproving the account of the resurrection. That and only that. Everything else about it.
Everything else about it is kosher? No.
Anyway,
aside from your wrong thoughts about how teleporters work, because obviously it's still you on the other side. It's exactly the same person.
Beg to differ.
There's no problems with continuity of personhood. I don't even know why it's used as an example in philosophy of personhood. I mean, it's kind of like...
Because everyone watched Star Trek.
Oh my god, you're absolutely right.
That's the only reason. In other words, to Western people...
That's us.
Death is nothing more than a sleep until the resurrection. It is essential that the corpse is left after death. In other words, that's because Western people knew of a miracle that can revive the dead.
God, I'm gonna make sure make sure I'm cremated, so that way there's no possible way they can bring me back. Once I'm finally done, just let me be, please, God.
But because that miracle doesn't exist in Japan, we burn them. Now I understand. I understand why grandfather idolized the Western occult.
Is that really the reason? I genuinely thought it was a space reason. Just because Japan has a much denser population.
I have no idea what the history of Eastern funereal traditions are, so I don't have a good answer for you.
You don't have that off the top of your head ready to go?
I don't. Well, I really only know about the Christianity aspect.
Okay, well... Aside from the fact that you're clearly not qualified to be my Let's Play partner anymore. Come on, they covered this in onboarding.
Gee, I'm sorry I skipped comparative religion. Fuck.
Yeah, I bet you thought it wasn't going to come up, and now it has.
It has. That's my bad. That was his only reason from the very beginning, just to revive the person dear to him. Grandfather spent the rest of his remaining life researching the Western occult. The situation surrounding us now is abnormal. Grandfather did revive his beloved Beatrice, and that Beatrice has carried out a terrible serial murder with linked closed rooms that force us to conclude that magic was used. The Golden Witch, Beatrice, the incarnation of the miracle of the Western occult, and also the culprit who killed Shannon.
It's Beato Jesus. Just asking for a friend.
She's an entity I should hate, and yet, for some reason, I want to cling to her. I wonder if Shannon could be revived with the magic of miracles, which Grandfather bet his life on.
Well, there is that one epitaph thing, so
yeah.
he survived to the end.
According to the legend of the Ushiromiya family, Grandfather met with her long ago and was given a vast quantity of gold.
Which is apparently just true. That gold is apparently just there.
Yeah? Then, if I also met with her, instead of gold, would she give me Shannon's life? As collateral, I don't care what sort of devil's contract she imposed. I wouldn't mind sacrificing all of my remaining life.
George probably couldn't believe or realize that his voiceless wish was heard by the witch herself, who stood right behind him. Beatrice had been... That's not Beatrice, that's Beato. Beato had been listening to that entire discussion between the children just now in the cousin room. Battler had told her that she didn't know the value of a human's life, and wanting to understand that in her own way, she had stealthily visited, listening in on their discussion.
That is your wish, you say? If I could grant that, would I be accepted as a witch?
Beato looked at the palms of both of her hands. She had handed over most of her once surging magical power when the new witch succeeded the name of the Endless Witch. Of course, her current power still made her worthy of being called a witch, but it cannot begin to compare to her previous strength.
Even without the endless magic, I am a great witch whose name has been thundered for 1,000 years. Reviving the dead will be no trouble at all.
Inside her head, she thought about several magical steps she could take to revive the dead. Even magic that should have been easy in the past would be difficult with her current power. She thought of something, clicked her tongue, and did so again over and over.
I'm definitely taking the right lesson from this.
Yeah, this is definitely the right lesson. Wait, if she revives Shannon, is that going to fuck up the resurrection ritual?
Probably.
In the end, she finally thought of a single spell. But that was a spell she couldn't use by herself. It was a spell that witches with weak power used, one that relied on the aid of others. In the past, Beato had looked down upon that type of magic. Therefore, she frantically tried to search for any conceivable alternative. But in the end, she couldn't think of one and slumped down over in self-derision. Then, careful not to surprise him, she softly called out, softly to George's heart.
Ushiromiya George, can you hear my voice? I can hear you.
Oh no, it's Meta George now. You gotta give him a funny voice.
Must I?
No, you don't have to. It's not a rule, but like... It's precedent.
We only gave one metaverse person a funny voice.
Yeah, it's the one that mattered. You don't have to. I'm just saying you could.
I will not be able to keep track.
Okay.
Who are you? Are you really the witch Beatrice? Or are you an illusion created by my sorrow? If it's the former, please hear my wish.
And if it's the latter, please hear my wish.
And if it's the latter, just leave me alone.
Their conversation in a mental world was not a lot like the one in a dream. When you dream, haven't you ever had the experience of casually accepting something that would have been absurd in the real world? The conversation in this world was like that. So even though a witch appeared and started talking to George, he was not surprised.
Indeed, I am the Golden Witch, Beatrice. Normally, you and I would not be able to talk together in this manner. However, you are strongly conscious of me and wish to have a discussion. So, both of our channels are able to match like this.
Badler's up on the roof, kind of jiggling the antenna right now, just to get this to work.
I don't care if the person who killed Shannon was you or someone else using your name.
Really weird that he would immediately insist that, but alright.
Yeah, huh? As long as you exist as a real witch, I'll pay whatever cost you ask for. If you desire my life, take it right now. Please, I want you to bring Shannon back to life. If that's impossible, I'd be satisfied if you'd just let me talk to her for a short while. Please. I ask for nothing in return. I shall grant that wish. Really? Really? You'll revive Shannon? Indeed. However, my current magical power is not sufficient to use the magic of resurrection. Therefore, I must rely on your help. If there's anything I can do, I'll do it. Even if that means taking my heart out right here and now, I will not hesitate. I told you, I don't need anything like that. Please don't take it out.
But I'll do it if you need it.
I think you should keep that in there.
Okay, but if you need it.
Anyway, I will chant the magic. Then a gap will open in the door to the land of the dead. But as I am now, I do not have the power to bring Shannon's soul up through that gap. However, you have strong feelings for Shannon. And those feelings will surely become magic that can bring her soul out without fail. What do you say?
What's the catch?
Will you help me? I don't know. I will.
Her soul back, sure, but what about her body?
If Shannon's life will be restored, there's nothing I'm afraid to lose.
George's fist shook in silence. Then he slowly came to his senses. He had been absent-mindedly standing near the window in the hall the whole time, his mug still in his hand. And the witch from his dream was still there.
What the? It isn't a dream? Be quiet. I am very fragile now. I have feelings too, you know. Anyway, if any more humans appear, I will not be able to preserve this form. I shall grant your wish, so stay silent for now. Understand?
George covered his mouth with both hands, nodding enthusiastically several times.
Mm-hmm.
That instant, he almost dropped the mug he was holding. George frantically juggled it around and caught it. He was afraid that if it fell to the floor and made a loud sound, the witch's form might disappear like a bubble popping. Well, this got weird. Never have I felt... Actually, no, every time resurrection magic comes up, I'm always hesitant. It's just a trope. Yep, alright, never mind, this is normal. He softly set the mug on the floor and stared at the witch in front of him again. Her form didn't disappear. It wasn't a dream.
Come, let us go to the parlor where Shannon sleeps. With the power of your feelings, we will bring back her soul. You say go, but how? My mother and the rest are downstairs. There's no way they'd let us go outside, and didn't you just say you wouldn't be able to preserve your form if another human appeared? Come to think of it, that is true. So, Kraus and the rest are downstairs. In that case, we definitely cannot go down. Well then, we just need to go to the mansion without going down to the first floor, right? It's simple.
Beato laughed as though she had thought of a pleasant prank. More death pranks. Resurrection's the funniest death prank. And with her golden pipe, she lightly tapped a window with its shutter closed. When she did, 3 gold butterflies appeared from the pipe and opened the lock on the window as though melting it. Then the window opened without a sound. The shutter beyond it was exactly the same. The clasp unset itself, also without making a sound, and quietly opened. Cheater. The window opened, exposing the wind and rain outside the mansion. Perhaps because of the direction or something related to the construction of the building, the wind did not blow inside. Because of that, for a while, George felt as though this entrance that had opened to the outside was a dream or an illusion. He couldn't accept it as real.
Come, let us go. Come with me.
Beato gently floated upwards. It was a natural action like that of a diver enjoying an underwater stroll. It made it easy to believe that if you acted like she did, you too might be able to float in the sky, just as though you were swimming through the water. Wait, is George just going to walk out and fall? No, George did believe that. So without thinking, just as she had done, he also, gently, as though swimming in the water, lifted his feet.
Oh, not bad. So, you learned how to dance in the sky faster than I could explain it.
George was shocked to find himself floating in midair like he was swimming. Of course, Beato was also shocked that George, who shouldn't have been able to use magic, figured out how to do that just by instinct.
To be able to fly in the air, to swim in the air. You mustn't be bound by reason, accept it as a natural thing. You mustn't fall back to your human doctrines, such as those of Newton and Einstein. I fucking hated those guys. Good riddance. Especially when flying high in the sky.
What's that meme of the dude over someone's freshly packed grave, but except they're staring up at the camera going with, like, yeah. It's Beato over Einstein's grave. It's like, yeah, I lived you, bro.
Inexperienced witches sometimes plummet to the earth. I accept things for what they appear to be. I accept things for what they appear to be.
George repeated those words over and over. He must not deny magic, no matter what. Denying that would be like throwing away what might be his first and last chance to revive Shannon. However, compared to Beato, who was elegantly drifting like smoke, George's movements clearly resembled someone underwater. Therefore, if he didn't act like he was kicking his feet in water every once in a while, he'd be caught by the force of gravity bit by bit.
I must say, you're doing better than when I first danced through the sky. Here we go, come with me.
When Beato had beckoned to George, she gently flew into the stormy sky. It was just like a scene from a fairy tale. The scene unfolding before George's eyes felt entirely like an extension of his dream.
Being able to fly is incredible, but so is the wind and the rain. What's this? Are the wind and the rain tormenting you? I could teach you magic to block against that, but it may be too early for you, and it may be a misuse of time right now. Yes, the magic I need isn't that.
George wore a strong-willed gaze, refusing to let the wind and rain get to him.
The mansion is coming into sight. Hold out just a little longer. If you fall now, you'll hit the bushes in the rose garden.
The undulating rose garden was spread beneath the witch and George's gazes. This illusion-like scene no longer surprised George. Only the gradually approaching mansion was reflected in his eyes.
Shannon, wait for me. I will definitely revive you.
What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?
You all thought I wasn't going to show up this episode.
At that time, the cruel new witch could be seen staring at the guest house from a different location.
Now all that's left is the 7th and 8th Twilights. Just 2 more, and my obligation to that old hag predecessor is finished. I'll kill Kraus and Natsuki. Let them die together like the good couple they are.
Where's the target? Yeah. In the lobby on the first floor of the guest house, 2 targets in Ushiromiya Eva identified. Measuring anti-magic power levels. Data link to 410. 410. Data received. Anti-magic power levels are extremely low.
You give them a very sassy voice. I like it.
If Ava just goes outside, they're tuna and abalone. Abalone?
Abalone?
On
Abalone?
a shopping board.
A Balone. Abel 1.
Yeah, that's it. Abel 1.
Abel 1.
What do you think, Great Lady Beatrice? When you give the order, we shall snipe right away. Please, your orders.
You guys are really convenient furniture. Not like that old secondhand furniture that's only useful for gouging corpses, right? Chester sisters, please show me your skill once more. Prepare to fire. And carry out the corpses again, got it? Because I'll play with them a lot. No complaints from you, right, Ronove?
Correct. As you command. At that moment, the witch noticed something. It's as though some presence had disappeared. Was it her imagination?
Is that someone's presence just now? Did anyone feel it?
My apologies. I haven't noticed anything, so please forgive me. We were in the middle of observing the guest house, so our peripheral surveillance was set to off. What about you, Lucifer-chan? Did you feel any presence?
For just an instant, Lucifer glanced at Ronove, asking whether she should answer honestly or not. Ronove gave a small nod in response. Nope. My apologies, Beatrice-sama. We noticed nothing. Forgive us the stupidity of us second-hand furniture.
I see. If a great demon like you says that, then it must have been my imagination.
The witch persistently stared in the direction of the presence that had disappeared to. That was where the rose garden lay, and beyond that she could see the mansion's dark silhouette created by lightning. It took quite some time before she pushed her unsatisfied feelings aside, and once again faced the guest house.
Alright, it's just time to snipe some bitches at long distance. This is how you know you're doing it well.
You have to do a 360 first.
Can you both do a 360 for me?
Yes, yeah.
I believe this is what they call a 360 no-scope.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.